Almost everything you learned about Christopher Columbus is wrong. You can't discover a place where millions of people already live, but your school still called him a hero. They gave him a holiday, printed his face on stamps, and put 3 cute little ships in every textbook. It's a neat story. It is also mostly a lie. In this video, you're going to see what Columbus was really trying to do, what he actually found, and why that one word, discovered, hides a much uglier truth. Welcome to Fake History Files. School lied to you, where the simple, clean stories from class get replaced with the messy, honest, and much more fascinating version. I'm Elsie, and around here, history isn't homework. This channel mixes jokes with uncomfortable facts so the past finally feels real, not like something you memorize and instantly forget. The real history, the mistakes, the accidents, the awful decisions, is always 1,000 times more interesting than the clean poster version. Last time, we tore apart the movie version of Roman gladiators. Today, it's your textbook's turn. We're going straight for that Columbus chapter. If you like finding out what school quietly skipped, tap the like button now so you don't forget to check out more episodes later. Let's jump straight to 1492. Think back to primary school. It was drilled into you with that catchy line. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Those tiny ship drawings that looked more like bath toys than actual ocean crossing vessels. The message was clear. Columbus was a brave, lonely visionary, standing against a world of doubt. Your textbooks boiled his achievement down to 3 core claims. 3 simple, heroic points that guaranteed you a passing grade. Let's list them one last time. Claim 1, he discovered America. This implies a blank slate, that the continent only mattered or began to exist when he arrived. Claim 2, he was the first European there. He was the pioneer, the first person from the old world to set foot on the shores of the new world. Claim 3, everybody thought the earth was flat, and he bravely proved them wrong. The classic science versus ignorance battle. He risked sailing off the edge to enlighten humanity. You could write those 3 bullet points down, add 1 sentence about Queen Isabella funding him, and boom, 5 out of 5. Nice, clean hero story. Easy to teach, easy to test, and easy to justify a federal holiday. It's also very misleading. So let's look at the version that never made it onto that exam paper. First problem, the most critical one. The land wasn't empty. The term discovery only makes sense if there was nothing to find. When Columbus reached the Bahamas, he didn't step onto a blank map. He walked right into a world that was already running, fully populated and ancient. Picture that island morning before the ships arrived. People are out fishing for breakfast, not for history. Markets are trading goods that have moved along local routes for generations. Kids are playing, smoke rises from cooking fires. Fields of maize, beans, and squash are already feeding whole communities. The people he met, primarily the Taino and others, weren't nameless extras. They had languages, beliefs, complex social rules, and relationships. They were part of large, regional polities. And beyond those Caribbean islands, the entire American continent was teeming with life. We're talking about massive population centers, long-distance trade routes, and complex farming systems. For instance, cities like Cahokia near modern-day St. Louis had populations that exceeded contemporary European cities. This was not a blank canvas. This was an active, thriving hemisphere that had been settled for at least 15,000 years. So when Columbus lands, he isn't discovering an empty world. He's showing up, uninvited, in somebody else's home and acting like the story starts with him. That one word tries to wipe out thousands of years of indigenous history with one stroke of European entitlement. That's the core lie. Now for the second myth, Columbus, the genius who proved the earth was round. By 1492, almost every educated person in Europe already knew the earth is a sphere. That argument was over centuries earlier. Columbus wasn't fighting flat earthers. He was chasing a shortcut to money. He wanted a faster sea route to the legendary riches of Asia, the spices, the silks, the gold. Overland routes were risky. His bold idea was simple: sail west. Here's the issue: his math was terrible. He drastically underestimated the size of the Earth, making it seem much smaller than it is, and placed Asia far too close to Europe. Most experts of his day, who had the correct figures, thought his plan was literally suicidal. The Spanish crown eventually backed him, mainly because they were desperate to beat Portugal in the global trade race. It was a massive gamble. The voyage dragged on far longer than promised. The crew panicked, not because of an edge of the world, but because they were running low on patience and supplies. Then land, October 12, 1492. Columbus didn't think, "I have discovered a brand new continent." He thought he'd reached islands near Asia, specifically the East Indies. That's why he called the people he met Indians, a name that remains a permanent monument to his massive geographical mistake. He didn't heroically uncover a new world. He crashed into two continents he didn't expect or understand because his core calculations were wrong. And the story gets ugly immediately. His reports back to Spain didn't focus on peaceful encounter. They focused on resources, gold, land, and how easily the locals could be made to work. Tribute demands quickly turned into forced labor under brutal conditions. When gold didn't appear in the amounts he'd promised, he started shipping people to Europe as slaves instead. Disease, violence, and exploitation under the regime he established ripped through the local population. The indigenous population on islands like Hispaniola was decimated within a few decades. Columbus didn't discover America on purpose. He misjudged the planet, landed somewhere he didn't expect, and helped open the door to invasion and conquest. That part rarely makes it into the school summary. So, claim 1. He discovered America fails because the land was full of people. What about claim 2? He was the first European there. Also wrong. Around the year 1000, Viking explorers like Leif Erikson reached what is now Newfoundland in Canada and set up a settlement we now call L'Anse aux Meadows. They were there centuries before Columbus sailed. So why doesn't every child memorize that date instead? Because their visit didn't trigger huge European empires, global trade, and centuries of colonization. They came, they struggled, they left, and Europe mostly forgot. Columbus's voyage, however flawed, happened at the exact moment Europe was ready to explode outward. And even before the Vikings, the real first discoverers of these lands were the indigenous ancestors who crossed from Asia thousands of years earlier. They were the first human settlers. So if Columbus wasn't first and the land wasn't empty, what does discovered actually mean? Clearly isn't about factual priority. It's about who gets the power to tell the story. The word discovered isn't a neutral historical fact. It's a political claim of ownership. Whoever gets to name a place, write it on the map, and put their flag in the painting gets to pretend the story starts with them. Everyone who lived there before becomes mere backstory, or worse, an obstacle. It's a declaration that your existence only counts once it has been recognized by European power. This is how a Europe-centered view works. If we didn't know about it, it doesn't really count. Thousands of years of indigenous history gets treated as a pre-intro, and the real story, the one that matters to the people writing the history books, begins only when Europe shows up. Then comes the essential component, nation building. New countries, especially ones built on conquest and settlement, crave simple, unified heroes. It's much easier to sell a holiday, brave explorer discovers new world, than around ambitious navigator miscalculates distance and helps start a wave of conquest and disease. Just like a movie editor, the uncomfortable scenes get cut. You don't see the forced labor, the punishments, or the fact that Columbus was eventually arrested by Spain and sent home in chains for how badly he misruled the colonies. He was, in fact, stripped of his titles. You see the ships, the flag, the proud pose on the beach? That's the movie they want you to watch. Discovered sounds light and adventurous, It suggests a magic moment of curiosity. Words like arrived, invaded, or claimed feel heavier. They make you ask hard moral and ethical questions about land rights, violence, and sovereignty. And that is exactly why those words never made it into that cheerful classroom rhyme. The word discovered is a deliberate linguistic shortcut, a convenient way to avoid a long, painful conversation by pretending the story is simpler than it is. So what do we do with all this truth? Should we just erase Columbus completely? No. He's too important to ignore. His voyages really did mark a pivot point that changed the world forever. The problem isn't that he exists in the story. The problem is the polished hero version that leaves everyone else out. The millions of people who were already here. The Vikings who came earlier, the scientists who got the math right, the victims of what came after. History is not a list of clean facts. It's an argument about what matters, who gets credit, and whose suffering is worth remembering. Your textbook gave you one side. Now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments. Team Hero Story. You think the simple version is fine for kids, and the holiday can stay as it is. Team Full Story. You want the myth stripped away, and the whole messy truth taught, even if it's uncomfortable. Team Both. You'll still enjoy the long weekend and the movies, but you want classrooms to tell the real story. And answer this. If you could rewrite that one sentence from your schoolbook, what would you put instead of Columbus discovered America? Before we finish, a few twists that make this story even stranger. First, the Columbian Exchange. Even though his motives were selfish and his impact devastating, Columbus's voyages kicked off a massive swap of plants, animals, and ideas between continents. No transatlantic journeys, no tomatoes in Italian pasta, no chilies in Asian cuisine, no potatoes in Irish fields, and probably no morning coffee grown in the Americas. The world we live in, and eat in, looks completely different because of that contact. Second, the name America. The continents aren't named after Columbus at all. They're named after another Italian, Amerigo Vespucci, who, unlike Columbus, realized these lands were not Asia, but a completely separate part of the world. The guy who understood the geography got his name on the map. The guy who got it wrong got the holiday. Go figure. Third, the story is still changing. Across parts of the US and beyond, Columbus Day is being renamed Indigenous Peoples Day. Statues are being moved or taken down. People are arguing loudly over which version of the story should stand. History is not frozen. The narrative is shifting in real time, and you're living inside that change. Let's rewind in under 30 seconds. The lands Columbus reached were already full of people and complex cultures. He was chasing Asia and profit, not trying to prove the Earth is round. His math was wrong. He hit 2 continents by accident. The word discovered survives because it protects a simple, Europe-centered hero story and hides everything that came before. Next time on Fake History Files, School Lied to You, we're heading north to tackle another global myth, Vikings and their famous horned helmets. Spoiler, the entire costume industry has been lying to you. If this messed with your school memories even a little, hit like so more people see it. Subscribe to Fake History Files for more episodes where cozy history myths get roasted and replaced with the real thing. This was Elsie, and now you know why saying Columbus discovered America is one of the laziest and most dangerous shortcuts in history.